Here is Witch Glitch.
Number 5, the wonkavator. The elevator is hooked up on a destination path. It's supposed to go straight up and down. Clearly that's not the case here.
The elevator is making its way to the production team.
The sort of physics and skeleton stuff and attachment stuff that we've done was I wrote originally back at the very beginning and continue to maintain, and so I will open. That's the elevator to get in, and if you notice I can just turn physics on. You can see there's the bounding physics stuff for it, and we'll get into it. And this all exists in the global grid right now, so if there's collision I could walk onto it, I could walk against here, bam, can't get out of there. So let's just use this.
The passenger lift's not working on the Johnny right now.
So we need to get the passenger lift working.
That's one way to get me.
The new airlocks and elevators are now being used more throughout the game, which exposed a few issues where game and engine code conflicted with one another. So those items were identified and work has begun to sort them out.
We also have a lot of short-term things which you kind of probably didn't account for at the start, such as having an elevator inside it which goes to multiple floors but also goes outside. So because of that, it starts to bring up certain issues that we didn't even know about at the time, because we're finding an issue where when the elevator travels outside of the physics grid in the ship, it loses its physics. So once you get outside and you step off the platform, you can then just walk through the geometry, and we obviously need to solve that problem.
We've got the transit system that's currently being worked on. That will actually help our elevators, and just elevator setups right now for the guys is extremely painful.
So now here we see a test case for the new elevator management tech, which will help us integrate more dynamic elevators into the game. The tech still needs a lot of finesse and development before you'll see it in the PU, but eventually it will also be applied to trams, trains, and other public transportation.
Moving to Grimheck Station, where Forrest parked his ship in that last bit, the elevator system has finally been fixed. Yay!
Yay!
This recent dev work should lead to a significant decline in elevator-based casualties in the area.
We're looking into the procedural team also kind of working with us to get tracks procedurally generated throughout cities, or elevator shafts in like truck stops getting procedurally generated based on certain rules, and the trains just functioning. We just click the button, station gets generated, and automatic has all the elevators or trains built into it, so we don't have to do extra manual markup, so it's going to speed things up a bit.
Originally it was said that the elevators in the game would eventually be replaced with physical elevators rather than teleporters. Is this still the current plan? And if so, how do you intend to have them work with such long distances between elevators and hangars, like in Lorville?
If it can be done in a realistic way, Chris wants it done in a realistic way, and so that there's a sense of travel.
3.8 is going to have server object container streaming, so SOCs as we call it.
Yeah.
So what do you see as the gameplay benefits?
Things like elevators, glitching out with you falling through them halfway through them, and the server basically being at a different frame rate, or ships inside of ships, or when collisions happen. It comes down to a feel thing. Things are responsive. Things are actually feeding back to you when you expect them to.
So many times, the setup can be done completely correct from our side, and it might break for some other reason. It could be, object container streaming or whatever it might be that causes it, or it might be that there's some conflict with the layers, or there's a million things that can go wrong. So
there's not a big elevator to go through. As we all know, elevators are the biggest killers in game development, so it's a good thing that we skipped one there.
Then we put elevators in, and then everybody's depressed. So now we have to work on elevators. Then we get people to help.
Loading these big SCU crates from where the cargo is delivered via a freight elevator, and with the cradle in the back and the forklift at the front, you can then essentially ferry two large SCU crates towards your ship and onto your ship, depending on your ship, if your ship is capable of having it attached like that.
longtime backers of the project know that Caterpillar's big cargo doors are also supposed to function as lifts. Anything you can tell us about that?
In Star Citizen, we essentially have three ways of doing doors or lifts or elevators, however we want to call them. We have the elevator system, which is used on a lot of our ships for moving between floors and transitioning to the outside of a ship. That has some issues. If you've ever been on a 600i elevator in Quantum and found yourself with the elevator in the middle of space, that's one of the issues with that. And then we have the new transit system, which is primarily built for environments. And you see that in a lot of ships, but there's an issue with that at the moment, a limitation that we're resolving soon, where it can't go between zones. So it can't be a lift inside a ship that then goes outside the ship. So if you look at the Carrack's lift, for example, that only ever goes internally. That's a transit lift. Transit and the legacy elevator system can't do complex synchronized animations with them, which is what the Caterpillar needs. So the Caterpillar needs like the original door system, but expanded to have multi-state doors with complex linked animations because it can't use it. It's a fun problem to solve.
Let me preface this by saying I'm a huge fan of what you all are doing. But are we still going to see elevators assassinating people in 3.17.2?
Maybe. I think, again, it'll depend on server frame rate. I think right now, when the server gets throttled, we definitely have some issues there, some bugs there that have been hard for us to track down. So, unfortunately...
Fixed an issue that was causing elevators at Grim Hex and underground facilities to duplicate and overlap. Elevators should no longer pass through areas where player can suffocate while not wearing a helmet. There should no longer be double elevators in center mass at Area 18. Fixed an issue where elevator entrances can occasionally become persistently unresponsive to the player who called it. Elevators should no longer collide with players while moving to their destination. Fixed an issue with various elevators become unresponsive and lose floor collision. Fixed an issue causing elevators in multiple ships to not function fully. New fixes to elevators not working properly. Fixed an issue causing multiple elevators to break and not function. Players should no longer be arrested when using the Horizon Spaceport docking port elevators.
And anytime, and have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend while I enjoy this wonderful view of the planet from the elevator.
And then when it opens, you can go into it. But you got like, when you hit the button, you got like run away because it's gonna kill you.
There's like this old Dutch movie, like a horror movie about an elevator. It feels the same.
Oh my god, look at my body. I'm headless on a building in New Babbage.
Because the bandwidth is getting pretty low as I'm watching. Oh, I died too. What the hell?
I'm sure I'll be fine, right?
Define fine.
How about space?
What the f is going on?
Limited hull ships.
I mean, the Carrack is what, $600? I mean, I would honestly buy a Carrack.
Con este elevador y el anterior, ¿no? Uy, me acabo de comer.
Me acabo de morir yo, güey.
PTR, now open at the Horizon Center. Ok, d'accord. Il y a de la pub pour Horizon ici, trop bien. Oh, de... Non. Sérieux.
1, 2, we got this. Oh, for some reason my... Oh, cool. Nice.
You know, I never thought Grim Hex elevators could get worse, but they did.